award all deceased families by the central government.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next speaker is Srimati Vandana Chavan.
From a news portal, BBC News, which my mic is not on. Hello, hello. This one is that's fine. So, with your permission, I wish to read an excerpt from a news portal, which aptly explains and reminds us of the horrific situation in our country not long back, just 3 months back. And the excerpt dated 20th April reads thus: "She kept waiting and gasping, but it was too late by the time help arrived. She was taken to the hospital room on 16th April after her oxygen saturation levels dropped. Her CT scan showed that she had developed severe pneumonia, but without the COVID report, the hospital refused to admit her. She spent 36 hours in the emergency room on oxygen support. The staff there told her family they were running out of oxygen and she needed to be moved to a bigger hospital. But there was no ambulance or any promise of a bed. The desperate family took her in a car to a hospital where the bed had become available. She had no oxygen support in the car. She died minutes before she could be admitted in the hospital. Her son says his mother would have had a chance of survival if treatment had been given to her on time." This is not just one story, sir. Hundreds and thousands of cases in which we all have experienced have had similar experiences. And therefore, we don't really have to search for gaps. And why have we taken so long to search for the gaps? The government, in fact, should have sat much earlier to make sure that if there were such gaps, they were filled in and solutions were taken out. So not just this one, but heartbreaking stories such as these were heard and witnessed from all across India. People lying on the ground outside hospitals waiting for admission, many eventually not making it. Videos of people stealing oxygen cylinders for their relatives, heart-wrenching ground reports of scarcity of place and wood to cremate COVID patients. As somebody has already said, bodies disposed in rivers found floating, children orphaned due to death of both parents, non-availability or shortage of important medicines like remdesivir, oxygen, ventilators, beds, exorbitant bills, and the list can go on. All this spelled doom and horror in the minds of every Indian, with a fear, would it be my turn next? So I do not wish to indulge in a blame game. As my honorable leader of the party, Mr. Sharad Pawar, always believes in constructive discussions. But I would certainly like to raise some points which I feel are pertinent, need serious introspection, and make sure there are no repeats in future. Apart from the legendary low allocation for public health systems, inadequate infrastructure, inadequate manpower, due to paucity of time, sir, I would like to only point out one question that I would like clarification from the government. And that is, why were the warnings regarding the second wave expressed by the experts not heeded too seriously? And this I ask especially in the context of Maharashtra, sir. We learned that INSACOG, I don't know whether I'm pronouncing it properly, but the Indian SARS-CoV-2 Genomics Consortium, which was formed by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare to track the progress of COVID variants, had given a finding early March that the B.1.167 variant detected in October 2020 had been found as high as 20% samples of Maharashtra. Further, sir, on March 10th, INSACOG shared its findings with NCDC and then further with the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, conveying that B.1.617 variant was of high concern. On March 24th, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare announced the variant spread, but played down on the concern. Had the seriousness been conveyed to the government of Maharashtra, I'm sure the government would have taken advanced precautionary steps much ahead of when they did it. The lockdowns would have happened 15 days earlier. But the non-communication of the high concern, warning of the experts, has caused Maharashtra dearly. And this, sir, is absolutely inexcusable. The biggest lesson, sir, I want to tell the ministry is that there should in future be better communication. Next, sir, we are all concerned about the third wave. And especially it is being said that the children are going to be most affected in the third wave. As it appears, part of responsible social behavior, vaccines are now the only saviors to arrest the third wave. So for this, I would like to make some submissions, 5 submissions. One is the population is to be swiftly vaccinated. Unfortunately, the vaccines to the states are being given in proportion with the population, rightly so. But there are some states, especially like Maharashtra, which is suffering. There are morbidities, there are mortalities, and therefore these also need to be benchmarked while earmarking the vaccination. Secondly, sir, children, the vaccination for children also has to be taken care of. And if at all, amongst the 18 to 44 age group, the parents who have young children at home should be taken up with topmost priority for the vaccination. There are many points, but one point I would like to make, sir, because I can see you seeing at the time. Most of all, the disparity in the access of vaccine on gender basis, on urban and rural divide, marginalized people like the transgender, sex workers, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and minority committees are not able to get access to the technology, and therefore something needs to be done in that direction. Only one point regarding Maharashtra, because it has been worst affected. As far as Maharashtra is concerned, sir, until 18th of July, the first, the total eligible population who was vaccinated with the first dose is 31.75%. Around 9.5%, just this, sir, has received the second dose. State has the capacity to vaccinate over 10 lakh people per day. However, we are not getting that kind of vaccination, and therefore, through you, I would like to make an appeal that we need these kind of vaccinations to save Maharashtra. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Sardar Balwinder Singh Bunda.
Honorable Chairman,